You know that moment when you get a call with someone telling you that your loved one has died? Or you find out that your partner has been cheating on you? Or your boss calls you in for a meeting and tells you that they're gonna have to let you go? Or maybe your landlord tells you that you're gonna be kicked out, evicted from your home? Or you're told that you have developed a terminal illness and have 6 months to live? One of those moments where, in a single instance, it feels like all of your hope, all of your motivation, all of your drive has been completely sapped from your being. And in that moment, your heart breaks. Your entire reality shatters. In that moment, I really want you to hear this. What you want to do in that moment, and I really want this to land, don't do anything. When it comes to unpleasurable feelings in our life, which we face an array of every single day, we often play this cute game of running away and avoiding those unpleasurable feelings, where we run towards pleasure, and what causes us, what drives us to run, is the pain that we're running from. But when it comes to a pain, a heartbreak, as titanic as those examples that I just gave, where your entire life transforms in a single instance, it's no longer a game of running away. It's no longer a game of suppressing and avoiding and denying and pretending it doesn't matter and pretending it's not a big deal. When it comes to pain that huge, it's no longer about running away. And what it turns into in that moment is surrender. Not the kind of surrender where, oh, I give up, and you throw in the towel. Not the kind of surrender where you create a calloused, hardened view of life. But what I'm talking about, which is crucial to moving through this pain, is a kind of surrender where you let it be. You let it completely consume your being. Because when it comes to that magnitude of pain, you can't kid yourself. You can't pretend it's not there. So all you can do as a human being subject to this profound mystery of life is to let it be. To let that pain be. This kind of pain is when we experience hardship to this degree, to this kind of intensity. There's a critical point, a critical turning point within that, where in that pain lies the seed of our most powerful self-transformation. The kind of transformation that turns an average person into a heroic person. Somebody who lives with reality as it is. And let me tell you, if you're despairing, if you're depressed, if you're experiencing the depth of pain that I'm talking about, it's not about running away anymore. When you develop the capacity to be able to be with this pain as it is, you will develop the capacity to really begin to experience life. When you experience the kind of pain, the kind of despair that I'm talking about, that's when shit gets real. That's when you really start to learn about what life is all about. When we're bored, they say ignorance is bliss. When we're living a average, normal, boring, maybe monotonous life where nothing crazy is really happening, there's a level of our own consciousness, a level of our own being that isn't available to us because we've become numb to the depth of reality. And it's only when deep despair rears its head that we remember something about life that we don't remember when we're just basking in pleasure, when we're just droning through life. You know? When I look back at some of the most challenging experiences that I've had in my 24 years of life, where a loved one has died, or a pet has died, or someone leaves me, and it leaves me heartbroken, despairing, I can see that it's in those moments that those moments of my life have been the most pivotal and transformative moments, where those moments of suffering, of agony, of depression, of feeling absolutely lost, those moments have shaped me into the being that I now am. Carl Jung has a quote that says, "You can't have branches that reach into the light of heaven unless you as well have roots that descend down into the depths of hell." Now, in this life, a lot of people walk around thinking that life is this hellish joke, that the pain that we experience is for no reason, there's no God, there's no greater purpose, and we're just subject to all this unnecessary, meaningless pain. But this pain, when you have the ability to withhold it within you, will absolutely transform your life. This is no joke. What defines our life as humans right now, me making this video, you watching this video, what defines our life, our trip, our journey, is trying to eradicate the pain and trying to establish a ground of happiness. And what we face in this life is unspeakable at times. The depth of pain that we can experience, the crippling agony that we can experience in this life is unspeakable. The kind of depression and despair where you can't even get out of bed in the morning. The kind of hardship and adversity that shatters your dreams. But I want you guys to know, this is very, very important. You need to be willing to live in that pain when it manifests itself. Because in my deepest and most sincere understanding, this pain, although everything in your being says it's not so, is a gift from God. This pain is what will create the biggest and most powerful transformations that you will ever experience in your life. The pleasure of doing things that we enjoy and going places that we want to go to and spending time with people that we want to spend time with and engaging in things that make us feel good is beautiful. It's so beautiful. And that too is reality. And that too teaches us about life. But on the other face of that coin of pleasure is the deepest, darkest pain that you could ever imagine. And like I said, when it comes to facing that kind of pain, where you get in an accident and now you can't walk anymore, or you develop cancer and you find out you have a year to live, or you find out that your partner, who you thought was loyal to you, has been cheating on you for the past year, or you get a call that one of your dearest loved ones has just died. that pain is the absolute opposite of what it is that we're trying to acquire, what it is that we're trying to get to in our life, being happiness. We think it's and I mean rightfully so, it is a complete polar opposite. But what if this pain is what is a requisite in being able to live a wholesome and enjoyable life, a life of not just sense pleasure, but satisfaction, contentment, compassion? What if what it takes to become a good person is pain that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy? What if it's the hardest, darkest, nastiest experiences that you will ever experience in your life that is just what it takes to kick you in the ass to realize that this life is something profound and that you have the strength to live it to its fullest? Not run away from reality, not pretend that these horrific things don't bother you, not spend your life chasing high after high after high, dopamine hit after dopamine hit after dopamine hit, but what if it's about being able to live with the nightmares that we will inevitably experience? These examples that I've given you of this titanic, life-changing pain, maybe you haven't directly experienced something to that magnitude yet. The key word being yet. So in a way, you can't really relate to what I'm saying. But let me tell you, your time will come. Your time will come where pain, like you would have never imagined to be possible, sprouts and germinates right within your heart. Chaos ensues within your very mind. Pain absolutely tears you to pieces. It will happen. You'll face your own death, or the death of a loved one, or a partner leaving you, or someone you love facing adversity. You know? You will get your fair share of the other side of the yin and yang of life. The polar opposites. In Hinduism, there's Shiva, who is the Godhead. It's the utmost bliss that you could ever imagine. It's kind of what we're trying to get. It's kind of what we're trying to live in always. But Shiva has a devilish wife named Kali, who is all the blood and all the gore and all the pain and all the lack of direction and all the sorrow that you could ever imagine. Now, isn't that interesting that the most supreme bliss you could ever imagine is married to the most devastating pain that you could ever imagine? Is it possible that in the philosophy and scripture of Hinduism, they understood something that us Westerners aren't yet ready to embody, aren't yet ready to face? That when it comes to life, you have pleasure and you have pain, and you can't avoid either of them. You can't avoid either of them. But nevertheless, we try to. We try to avoid the inevitable as hard as we can. We make believe that all this horror isn't a reality for us. We think, oh, that starvation and that poverty and that famine and that torture and that depression, that happens to them, all those people. That happens to that society. That happens to that culture over there. But me, no. But then it happens. Then it happens. Then pain is born within you. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? What if there is an intrinsic and innate wisdom woven into every little thought and emotion you have when it comes to that level of despair. What if you have the capacity and ability to listen and to allow that pain to be, you will begin the deepest and most profound transformation of your life that will put you in a place of supreme self-betterment. What if what it takes to live a life of happiness is to have what it takes to experience a life of hell? Look at some of the greatest teachers that this earth has ever produced. Notice how a lot of these beings, people from the Holocaust, people like Gandhi, people like Martin Luther King, and a whole array of other beings, other supreme teachers that I would never be able to all list off. Notice how a lot of them, and where their teaching and seemingly infinite compassion was born from, was agony, was despair, was pain. Isn't that interesting? I don't know about you guys, but I remember that. Have you ever noticed, I had people in my school that were disabled people, whether that be mentally or physically disabled. And they were some of the happiest, brilliant light that was present in my high school, in my school. They were some of the happiest people. They had the most unfortunate symptoms. They had the most unfortunate hand dealt to them that they can't get away from. And somehow they were able to transform that into a level of compassion and a level of maturity that all of us didn't yet have the depth to be able to live in. Isn't that interesting? You notice how it's the people that are wheelchair bound, or the people that are deformed or disabled in any sort of way, that are the most happy, joyous, enthusiastic, compassionate, and kind? Isn't that interesting? What if it's because that they've learned, without even maybe realizing it or wording it to themselves, that this pain is an inevitable part of life, and it's up to them to stand up from that pain, to use that pain, and to transform that pain and that disadvantage into jet fuel that propels them into a life of fulfillment, of joy, of satisfaction, and of service. That's another interesting point, isn't it? That people who serve, people who want to help people, perhaps are coming from a place of feeling like there was no way out themselves. But then they discovered within that pain, within that despair, that they have the ability to bear the unbearable. And what is born out of that is a compassion like you could never imagine. And that compassion births the desire to help and to serve other human beings. Like I said a moment ago, the statement, ignorance is bliss. You ever noticed how people that are just always happy, always joyous, never experiencing hardship, or maybe avoiding and pretending that hardship isn't bothering them, have you ever noticed the sense of ignorance? Ignorance not in the sense of stupid, but ignorance in the sense of ignoring a huge part of reality. Ignoring the other face of reality. You get this vibe of they haven't been through anything. They haven't experienced any hardship. They've just had everything handed to them. And what that creates is a boring person, an entitled person, somebody who takes everything and everybody for granted. You know? The pain that is present in this world is unspeakable. You know? And something that I do when I experience, because I'm not exempt from this suffering. for your information, just to let you know. I'm not free from pain and despair and depression and lack of direction and lack of motivation and all these things that can become cripplingly intense. I'm not free from them. But I realize that this pain that I experience in different parts of my life, different days of the week, this pain, I am not alone in this pain. And it's strange how we're very quick to feel alone and isolated in our pain. But I want to offer you a sort of meditative state of being that you can implement when you're experiencing despair. Realize that what you're feeling is not just what you're feeling. Realize that this despair is something that is intrinsic in reality itself. This pain is something unavoidable. So when you're experiencing this pain, if you have a moment to yourself, of course, sit down, feel this pain, and realize that this is a part of reality. This is what reality can be like. And this pain that you're experiencing has just as much presence. It deserves just as much attention as your constant seeking of gratification. And really feel this pain. As Ram Dass says, invite your suffering in for a cup of tea. Stop running away from it. Stop avoiding it. Stop pretending it's not that bad. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And let yourself feel it. And realize that this pain, what I want you to do is visualize how many other souls in that very moment are experiencing pain not only equal to the degree that you're experiencing pain, but far greater than you're experiencing that pain. Now, this isn't a way of saying others have it so much worse, bro, chill out. But what I'm saying is to take into consideration and to put into perspective the amount of pain that is present in the world. And you will begin to realize how not alone you really are. Pain is an innate part of reality. Like I was saying, Shiva and Kali. You have Shiva, bliss, awareness, wisdom, and you have Kali, pain, despair, depression, nightmare, horror, loss. When you have the capacity to live with that pain, you're living with reality as it is. You're no longer trying to outsmart God. You're no longer running away from yourself. Have you ever noticed that you can't get away from it? Have you ever noticed that you can't escape that pain? So you have two options. You can either give up and create an inner narrative that life is a shit show, life is a meaningless nightmare, and there's no point in carrying on. Or you can begin to play with the idea that this pain is a prerequisite in transforming you into the depth of potential that you have to offer to this world. Learn how to be with your pain. When our happiness arises, we don't really try to do anything. We become sort of complacent within it. Finally I'm happy. Finally I'm drunk. Finally I'm high. Finally this person wants to be with me. Finally I'm in a relationship. Finally I can eat this food. You know what I'm saying? The ways that we seek pleasure. We don't run away from shit when we're in the midst of that happiness. But the second we experience despair and adversity, we try to get away from it. Oh my God, this is horrible. I'm wrong for feeling this. This is horrible. Here, I'm going to take drugs. Oh my God, this person left me. Here, I'm going to replace them with another human being. I'm going to eat junk food. Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? We try to run away from how we're feeling inside. But this pain deserves just as much attention and just as much respect as our happiness. Now, it's hard. Hard is an understatement. It's horrible to be with that pain. That's what defines and characterizes the pain itself, is it feels bad. It's not fun. But if you can muster and cultivate the ability to be with that pain and not push it away, not suppress it, not try to get rid of it, not only will it naturally transform into a different state of being, but guys, you will learn something that you can't learn when you're just basking in pleasure after pleasure. It takes being able to be with that pain to live in a space of true happiness. Ram Dass has another statement, another quote, and it's in regard to relationships, where he says, you can't afford to keep things nice. Meaning when your partner does something that's disagreeable, or you do something disagreeable, or something happens and you get in a fight or whatever it is, and it's all this tension. You know how we try to like brush it off and act like nothing happened and pretend, oh, I still love you, this is awesome, I'm so happy, even though we're cringing inside. What's required if you want to be in a deep, intimate, truthful relationship is the ability to voice that pain. The ability to face that pain with your partner. Now, if you're willing to face the pain and bring it up and say, I'm really upset with this is really bothering me, but they're not willing to look at it, and they invalidate you and say that you're making a big deal and it's not that bad and why are you creating all this animosity, you guys shouldn't be together. Because that is somebody that's avoiding the hardships of life, pretending that they don't exist. And their time will come where they experience hardship and can't avoid it any longer. And they're going to realize in that moment the deficit of wholeness that is born from avoiding the hardship and adversity of life. What I'm trying to say is that this despair that we feel, that we're all seemingly like experiencing as a collective and trying to get away from, is necessary and also intrinsically wise. It's trying to tell you something. It's trying to teach you. It's trying to transform you. You think about a seed that hasn't yet grown. And come fall, it drops from the plant and it lands on the cold ground. And then it gets smothered in leaves. And then smothered in snow. And it's cold. And it's dark. And it's alone. And there's seemingly no hope. It's dead inside. It's dormant. It's stagnant. But then things start to warm up a little bit. It starts to be sunny for longer periods of time. And that warmth melts the freezing cold snow, which acts as water that seeps down, surrounds the seed, and triggers the germination process. Triggers the process of coming alive. So it's that isolation and that pain and that coldness and that darkness that acts as the one thing that allows you to come alive. Now imagine that the seed were to pretend that, or to think that that cold and that darkness is bad. That's what we do when we experience this adversity and this hardship, not yet being able to see far enough into the future, because I mean, you can't blame us. We don't know what the hell is to come. We're not equipped with the ability to see that this hardship is growing us. So don't run away from it. Your despair not only is inescapable, I'm just going to say that, it's inescapable. It's going to happen. But it's not only is it inescapable, but it's what you need to grow. There's this sort of paradoxical excitement that is born when you begin to get down with the fact that your pain is your greatest teacher. Pain not only transforms you, but it transforms entire societies. Think about when somebody dies in your family, and people that you're related to with blood that you haven't spoken to in years all come together and mourn and grieve and cry together and laugh and remember all the times together. Pain brings us together. Pain grows us. Think about like the LA fires or any sort of natural catastrophe like that, where entire communities that are strangers on a normal average day suddenly come together and embrace each other and grow together and do what it takes to level up. Pain is like purification by fire. I don't know the exact process, but in making gold, the raw, crude gold, is ran through fire. And it's only once it's been exposed to the fire for long enough that it turns into the beautiful, luxurious thing that we know and call gold. And then, when that gold, that pure gold, is exposed again to fire, nothing happens because it's been transformed by the fire. That's the same exact thing with us too, where when we allow ourselves to feel the pain that we're feeling, it purifies us. You're not going to get gold if you keep taking the gold out of the fire because the fire is intense and hurts and it's wrong for burning the gold or whatever. That's what we do. We experience pain and we try to get out of it as quick as possible. Nah, bro, give me pleasure, give me love, give me joy. I don't want this pain. It's a rightful, fair thing to feel. But when we begin to wake up to how life is, we begin to realize that this pain is necessary. This pain is your greatest teacher. There's been times when I look back at, like, particularly a time where I was heartbroken that someone had left me. After I'd moved out of that heartbreak and was in a place of where everything was just chill, everything was cool, it was kind of normal, average, I looked back at that time when I was despairing, when I was just engulfed and swallowed in agony, and there was something that in me that missed that. I longed for that period of time again. And the reason I sort of missed it, the reason I sort of was longing for it, was not because it felt good, but because I knew that something was available to myself during that time that felt in the moment now not available. There was a depth to myself, to my soul, that was available to me when I was suffering, that isn't available to me when I'm just chilling. And where that comes from is my understanding of the intrinsic wisdom and potential in pain. So I want to talk directly to you here in saying that I know it hurts. I know it's hard, but we need to develop patience. We need to develop faith in life itself. Now, the way that you go about developing that faith, I'm not telling you to lead a religious, spiritual lifestyle, but I'm telling you to consider the possibility that life knows what it's doing. And your pain isn't some horrific error. It's functional. Your pain is functional. Your pain is there to teach you and to grow you. But that teaching and growing can only take place when you have the ability to be with it. We need to stay open to the flow of life. And in being open to the flow of life, our heart is going to break again and again and again and again. Doesn't mean something's wrong. It means we're starting to understand the nature of reality. And that if you want happiness, true happiness, you also need to be willing to experience true pain. So you're not doing something wrong for feeling depressed, for feeling lost, for feeling like you've been grieving for too long and it should be gone now. Be patient with yourself and realize that this pain is present for a reason, a cosmic reason that sort of is out of our intellectual grasp. It's here for a reason. It's here to teach you. This is really, really, really important stuff. And it's something that I make this video as though I am sharing it with you, but I'm sharing it with me too. This is stuff that I as well need to continue to work on. And I offer it to you as one soul to another, saying, your pain is on purpose and is necessary for you to lead a life of strength, compassion, and fulfillment. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. I really do. If you've watched this video all the way through, I want you to know that I love you and I feel you. And when I'm down and despairing, even though I don't know you, when I sit down and do that meditation where I consider the pain of the collective of humanity, I want you to know that I'm considering you, whoever you are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay strong and stay open to the flow of life. I'll see you all later.